So, we got some information. And this one's coming in from inside Cincinnati here. This source is Dave Lapham, who talked about how the Bengals head coach Zach Taylor considered giving up play calling to Brian Callahan to try to get him to stay with us and not leave us and go to Tennessee. Let's talk about it. So, if you're a Bengals fan, a couple things in life you know that is guaranteed no matter what. Death, taxes, and Zach Taylor calling offensive plays. And while many of us fans do not like Zach Taylor calling offensive plays, and it's not because we dislike him. We love Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. He is a fan favorite. And he is definitely, an amazing head coach. Great leadership, great culture he built. But the man cannot call offense. I get he was a quarterback in college. I get it he was an OC over there in in LA back in the day. I understand he's an offensive mind, right? But he has 2 play calls. Screen passes and checkdowns. And that's all he calls. And then occasionally he'll call a crazy trick play that won't work, or he'll call a deep shot. Listen, we need someone else to call the plays. And it looks like Zach Taylor was saying, hey, listen, you stay here, we'll give you the shot on calling the plays. This also means that Dan Pitcher is not going to be calling the plays. And Zach Taylor will still 100% be calling the plays next year. So Dan Pitcher is going to be here's a juice box, sit in the corner. Coach, can I call a play now? Okay. That's all it is. So, as Lapham says here, I heard that Zach Taylor was considering giving up the play call role to Brian Callahan next season. That changed when Brian Callahan moved on. Which, I guess, changed it in the aspect of, Zach Taylor ever giving that up. It changed. It's not happening no more. He's like, you know what? I tried to be nice, and I tried to give someone else a chance. And then they left me. So therefore, I'm the play caller. It is done by democracy. It's not a dictatorship. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a big voice, Lapham added. If you show that your voice merits it, you're going to get a bigger voice. And that's what happened with Dan Pitcher. And no, I understand that. Like, listen, okay? I am so happy for Dan Pitcher to be able to take over and get the promotion and become an offensive coordinator, right? I could not be happier for the guy. But it just sucks now even more that we lost Brian Callahan, because it looked like, based on Lapham here, that we were going to have, Brian Callahan call the offensive plays, and it was no longer going to be Coach Taylor, which even sucks that much more, because okay, finally we might have seen a difference or a change, and now because Dan Pitcher, we're going to see the same thing as last year and the year before that. It's going to be a lot of screen passes, a lot of check down passes. Nothing's going to change on offense. So it's like that little small issue. And then also, you got to look at the fact that, we're going to keep Frank Pollock. So our offensive line's still probably going to struggle a tad bit, which sucks. I wish he didn't even say this. I'm happy he came out and said this, because this is the truth. But this makes everything so much worse now. Because it was all right, well, if we kept Brian Callahan with the Dan Pitcher, it didn't matter. We were still going to have Zach Taylor call the plays. According to Lapham, that's not the case. It was going to be Brian Callahan's last-ditch effort. Hey, man, you can call the offensive plays if you stay. And he's like, nah, I'm going to Tennessee. Because I feel like when it comes down to him being able to call the plays, Zach Taylor would probably still, really influence it. It's just that Brian Callahan would have more say. I'll be interested to see how much say Dan Pitcher gets this year when it comes to calling the offense. And I hope he gets more say now that Zach Taylor has realized potentially he could give up some of the offensive play calls, some of the power here to actually get somebody else's voice in there. Now, again, the offense coordinator, whether it is Brian Callahan, Dan Pitcher, they still still contribute to the offensive play calls. It's not like Zach Taylor does the whole thing. Brian Callahan or Dan Pitcher, whoever it is, gives Zach Taylor 3 plays, and he pretty much chooses which one he likes the most. And last year, Dan Pitcher actually did voice his opinion on a lot of third down plays and actually got involved in the offense in some way when it comes to play calling. So this is not like this is a brand new thing for Dan Pitcher. Dan Pitcher has already contributed somewhat to the offense of play calls, and he's going to continue to do that now as the OC. It's just that it's going to be Zach Taylor as the offense coordinator. Well, play caller. Not the OC, but the play caller. So, it sucks, but it is what it is, you know. We're just going to have to kind of overcome this. It's another obstacle. We're just going to have to keep going. And as Brian Callahan and Zach Taylor said many times, player execution. Player execution needs to be better next year. Please. Just give it up for one season, dude. Just one freaking season. Please. Just see how it is for 5 games. Let's do a test run. A trial run, Zach. Just 5 games, Zach. 5 games. Give it up. And see how it goes. What's the worst that could happen? Dan Pitcher's the worst offense coordinator in life. He's still going to be better than running screen passes and check down passes every play. Again, like I said, it's just mentally, I'm upset that, like, we learned this information. Because I like the fact we learned this information. It's important information to learn. It's just the fact that now I'm going to think every single play, man, if we kept Brian Callahan, those 7 screen passes in a row would not be 7 screen passes in a row because Brian Callahan might have called something different. Instead, it's 7 screen passes in a row. Also, I wonder, this is my personal opinion here, how did he go about telling Brian Callahan that, like, he was going to give up the offensive play calls? Because apparently he was considering it, right? So, like, did he, like, was it, like, you know, very reluctant type of scenario? Like, you know, he texted him, he's like, hey, man, what if, hear me out, I let you call 70% of the offense next year? Would you say? Like, I feel like it was, like, the most reluctant text message of all time. He just was like, he just sends him, like, a note, like a little tiny piece of paper note. He writes, like, want to call the offense? Question mark. Check yes or no. A little box says check yes or check no. Oh, that's how I feel this all went. But you know what? It is what it is, man. Dan Pitcher's our guy, and Zach Taylor's our play caller. Welcome to 2024. Peace out, guys.